It's episode 37 of the Improv London podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Moses, and this week's guest is Rosy Fordham.
I think if this was like a drinking game, I think that'd be like we'd have to take, the drinks whenever I said something like old or I don't get it.
Right.
Or something like we'd get really ratted on that.
So you're already predicting
what I'm going to say.
what you're going to say.
Maybe.
That's interesting.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Why do you have expectations about what you're going to say?
Because... Why do I have expectations? Because you think, why would anybody be interested in hearing what I've got to say unless one is perceived as being slightly not the norm?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I would say you are slightly not the norm.
Exactly. So the things that make me slightly not the norm, I would say the one that, apart from obviously being extraordinarily talented, would be my age. So I'm going to have a drink now. Right.
Oh, I see. Fair enough.
Yeah.
We should explain that we are eating two types of lemon cake.
Yeah. We've got the lemon meringue and the lemon chiffon. I'm starting on chiffon.
I'm sort of alternating between the two.
Good. Are you doing it? Would you kind of mix them up? If it was two kinds of ice cream, would you mix them up?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I certainly used to, and I certainly would be happy with two different flavours of ice cream that had already been mixed up. But would I mix them up myself? No.
No.
But I think that's a texture issue.
Really? Because they're the same texture.
No, because I want to keep the textural integrity of the ice cream.
Oh, blimey, that's a bit deep.
Yeah.
No, good. I'm glad you're not going to mix it up because I think they might be yucky.
And if I were to do that, how would you deal with that?
I wouldn't judge you.
Well, that's good.
She said lying.
You'd probably judge me on the inside.
Oh no, on the outside too. Straight up judge. Thank you for my cake, Stuart. It's delicious.
That's all right. Thank you very much for agreeing to come on the Improv London podcast.
Wow, it's an honour.
Sorry, I think I'm a little bit delirious from cake.
We're going to be cake sugar high in about 4 minutes, and then in about 10 minutes we'll be asleep.
We'll crash.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Where shall we start?
Where do you want to start then, Stuart?
Should we start with the fact that you're an independent performing arts professional? Is that how you would describe yourself?
I've never thought of myself as that. That sounds like something like you'd Google. Or if I was on LinkedIn, that's what I'd write.
That's what it says on LinkedIn for you.
No!
Yeah.
Do you know what? I have never done anything on LinkedIn.
Really?
I hate it. I think it's like Billy No Mate.
That's what it says next to your name.
Who wrote that?
I don't know.
I got, with Facebook, because I was so long ago, so nervous about it, I'm going to play the drinking game. It not being like the first step, like approaching it when you were 15, kind of going, yeah, come on Facebook now, which is what my daughter did when she was 9. Facebook, thing. Like going to it and kind of thinking, no, what is it? Do I really want to join this thing? It's a club. What will they find out about me? So then, when my friend Alison, who is a professional, not professional, but like works in charity and is a big significant person in communications and media and things like that. And she went, "Oh, Rosie, I'm going to put you on LinkedIn," thinking that'll be handy for her. I looked at her, I just thought, no way. Not only do I not want to work for most of the people who are on LinkedIn, if my friends are on LinkedIn, that's fine, but it's not how I'm going to communicate with them. So I'm an independent what?
Independent performing arts professional.
Well, hello. Yeah. Yeah, well, I trained as an actor, which was I kind of avoided training as an actor when I was at school. I denied the fact that I wanted to do it.
Really? Why did you deny it?
Because I thought it was a waste of one's life.
Really?
And then it was kind of like, I'm going to be serious, I'm going to be a window dresser. That lasted about 3 minutes. And then I went to, I didn't really know what else I could do. I really couldn't think of anything I could do.
It was just window dressing.
Just being an actor eventually. The window dressing, yeah.
And in a way,
it is similar. You're going to make an analogy.
I'm going to make an analogy.
Because what I did quite fancy seeing was seeing myself in John Lewis' window.
Right.
Gussying up a dummy.
Yeah.
And then turning around and seeing a lot of people looking at me. And there I was, performing.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you know in John Lewis windows, they used to have this tradition where everything had to be triangular. The whole of the display always needed to reach a triangular point.
I did not know that.
That's an interesting fact.
Why is that?
They're weird. Because maybe it's like the focal point of the thing, like the peak. Your eye will be drawn up to the product. Yeah.
So what was it about acting?
I couldn't do anything else.
Really?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. I went to drama school and worked as an actor for 15 years. When I was at drama school, there was a unit within the training that was improvisation.
Oh, yeah.
And I did, as close as I can remember, as close as I could, an impression of Abigail's Party.
Oh, yeah.
Alison Steadman.
Yes.
Which I denied I was doing. It really was me talking like that completely the whole time. And everyone went, "Are you just doing an impression of Alison Steadman?" I was like, "No, this is my character that I have deeply researched." And but yeah, that was improvisation.
That's strange because when I was at university and I did a bit of acting, I first discovered Abigail's Party through other people
doing
impressions
of
Alison Steadman.
No, they were doing impressions of me.
Oh yeah, obviously, yes. Yes, because they weren't quite Alison Steadman.
Quite good enough, were they?
So was that a conscious choice? You thought, well, that's a strong role, I'll do that, or... I
think what they were teaching you to do in that particular unit, I can't remember, I'm wiping the dust off my memory here, but it was one of those things where they said, start with something you know and then move away from it.
Right.
And I thought the character I was playing was a North London Jewish person. But she sounded exactly like Alison Steadman in Abigail's Party. So, yeah. And then, drama school. Then I acted pretty successfully for about 15 years. And then I kind of went, I'm not going to have any work this year. And I was working for a theatre company that had, as part of the company, they had an Arts Council funded group, which was a writers' group.
Oh, right.
You wouldn't get that now, straight. You'd have to pay. But a great playwright called Noel Gregg was employed for weekly and monthly sessions to work with young actors and interested writers. So I did this, loved it, and then in the realisation that I wasn't going to get any work for a year, I don't know how I knew this, I decided to do an MA in playwriting, which is what I did.
Oh, right.
And I went to Birmingham and worked on, and David Edgar was in charge of the MA playwriting there. That was a gift, it really was a gift. Fantastic, because David Edgar just got his mates to come and talk to us. So you'd have Tom Stoppard dropping by, and I always thought Tom Stoppard, what a wanker. Absolutely hated his plays. But the thing was that he would come in and he'd twiddle away. And
well, even the real Inspector Hound?
Well, yeah, because it's there's something about that kind of like academic punning.
Right, okay.
That probably resonates too closely. And I'm obviously have to go, that's rubbish and shit. So, yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
That's all right. No. Defend him. Tom Stoppard. Yeah, so Tom Stoppard dropped by with a drop. So our project with Tom Stoppard was to look at the draft of his play and help him make it better.
Brilliant.
And you could sit there going, I don't get it. I don't get it. Why have you got her coming in there when she's just had an argument with him? You know, that kind of. It was great. It was fantastic. And he go, very useful. Make a note of it. Then he got Olivier. No, it was fantastic, and I learnt to write, and that was brilliant because you can be a real megalomaniac.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the power, is it, that you like?
Power inside your own head.
Yeah.
You get to play every part.
Ah, that's interesting.
Whereas an actor, you can only play one part unless it's a very good play, and you might do two. You have to play every part. But what I discovered was that sometimes I would think, in this play, I'm going to write this very interesting, really intellectual, hugely intelligent male character. And that is why the narrative will work in this certain way. And I'd sit down and then I'd realise that because I had very limited capacity in my brain, the intellectual quality of the work was minimal. My understanding of the male behaviour and psyche was minimal. And so the storyline was just basically what was me driving it. And then I'm like, no, it won't work because I hit the limit of my expanded capacity. So I could sometimes think that actually within improv, that you can kind of sometimes you think, I'm going to come on and I'm going to be this really extraordinarily very different character, and I won't be able to do it because I hit the limit of my capacity.
Right.
And that's when I kind of think, I want to break through the top of my head sometimes.
Yeah, that's interesting because although I don't know you very well, whenever I've seen you perform, I've always been struck by how well developed the characters are. And I've never thought, oh, well, that's just Rosy playing with a thin veil. I've always believed in the characters that you've done.
Thank you for that. No, and I think I think as an experienced improviser and having trained as an actor, one of the things that I enjoy and also I miss seeing in some other performers is the truthfully rooted emotion of the moment. I know I can access that easily, but I know that quite a lot of other people find that quite hard to get locked in when they're starting out.
So what do you mean by the truth in...
That in an emotional truth of each moment is, I would say, what as an actor one would search for as a performer.
Right.
So if you were coming in as a policeman, it would not just be the line, "Oh, Mrs. Higgins, your dog's been run over," but how the emotional truth, how those words affected that policeman, and how therefore the weight of, "Oh, Mrs. Higgins, your dog's been run over," would then resonate for the next moment.
Right, okay, that's really interesting. Because I've never studied acting formally, so I am greatly intrigued by that sort of thing, because I've never done it. And it's like, right, so how do you get better at doing that? How do you...
sometimes when you see, if you went to hear a piece of music and it's beautifully conducted and it's beautifully played by an orchestra, you get the whole thing. If you go and hear that same piece of music and it's played by an amateur orchestra with a not particularly rigorous conductor, though the intentions are all good, what you hear is the structure of the music and the holes in it and how it's pieced together. So they all might be playing emotionally brilliantly and to the best of their abilities, but what you hear is how it's put together rather than the whole thing, which you would do if you went to see the London Philharmonic. Yeah. So, what am I saying is, yes, that a director could help an actor, and a training can help an actor make it a whole thing rather than just the separate bits. Oh yes, stand here, say the line, look in that direction, don't fall over.
Yeah.
Be quizzically interested in the woman that opens the door is the instruction, but to do it all at the same time and therefore create a truthful moment. "Oh, Mrs. Higgins, your dog's been run over." Is he... if you were a Ponzi actor, then you could kind of go and research people who deliver bad news to people. You could go and research what he'd had for breakfast, and therefore he might, what was the next thing on his list.
Yeah.
So is he really interested in Mrs. Higgins and the dog, or is he just doing his job? He has no interest in it. Why did the dog get run over? Do we care that the dog was run over? Is there some reason that somebody was driving so fast that the dog got... You know what I mean? You build a whole kind of Robert De Niro approach to doing it. Or you go, you know what, it's just one line, I'm going to say it, we move on to the next bit of the story.
So you're establishing a backstory for the character, but not putting that backstory... Well, it remains backstory, essentially. But it informs the way in which you portray that particular scene.
Yeah.
Which, when you're acting and you know what the part you're going to play, you're able to do that. Are you still able to do that if you're going to be improvising?
I think you kind of discover the truth of it as you go along in the unpredictability of improv. So I kind of sometimes think, oh, I know what, in this situation, I'm going to come in as, the dashing husband of the beleaguered wife, right? So in my head, I really think, oh yeah, this is what this scene needs, the dashing husband, beleaguered wife. On she comes. Nobody can see that's in my head. So when I'm kind of going, oh, Matilda, of course. Why have you locked yourself into the coal shed again? That, unless I bring enough characteristics of the dashing husband, or nobody's going to know. They're just going to think, oh, Rosy, come on. She's saying something about the woman in the cupboard. We're not quite sure what it is. But then they're endowing me with other things. I've got to play with it. So the truth of what I came on with might be, fantastic, be Oscar winning, but it's going to disappear very quickly if I get endowed with something else.
Yeah.
Or whatever somebody else gives me could just blow that out of the water at any second, and I love that.
Yeah.
At the same time, as annoyed as I am I'm sorry, there was about to be a rather significant piece of theatre, which is good. Do you know what I mean? That you just go, fuck it, what's next? Okay, here we are dancing. Yeah, it's marvellous. Yeah. I like it ravelling and unravelling at the same time.
Yes, now there's something very beautiful about being able to ride the waves that are coming your way.
Yeah.
So how much are you premise-based and how much are you organic in your approach? How much of an idea will you have before you come on stage? Even though you're prepared to, abandon that idea immediately.
90% of the time, no idea at all.
I find that reassuring.
90% of the time. I think it depends what format you're in. Like if I'm doing impromptu Shakespeare and it is a structured, not structured, sorry, it's all improvised. And we've got a whole series of suggestions from the audience. That is, and we're halfway through the piece. I pretty much know if I've started off playing the Duke of Kentucky, and it's become a major character, I'm sticking with that.
Right.
Because we're improvising traditional narrative.
Yes.
That you don't kind of go, oh, and now I'm a cowgirl, because that would be fun. But, but the expectations of the audience need to be fulfilled.
So, let's talk about Impromptu Shakespeare. So, I haven't actually seen...
That's okay, Stuart. I'll do it for you now.
That would be lovely. So, do you ask the audience for a list of suggestions?
What we do, and it's a rather innovative little beginning, Stuart, which you'll love. Because we found that the audience were quite nervous that they had a responsibility to deliver Shakespearean things to us.
Ah, right, okay.
Or we found, the alternative find was that we go, well, so, could you suggest some Shakespearean things? And then they say chip shop. And it'd be really irritating. We are megalomaniacs. So, what we did is that we got ping pong balls and we wrote Shakespearean tropes, ideas, characteristics, say dagger, twins, shipwreck, priest, tempest. Yeah?
Yeah.
So we've got about 100 of them. And we give them out to the audience when they come in.
Yeah.
Then the company comes on, introduces what we're going to do, blah, 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 blah. And one member of the company is wearing this rather elaborate pair of breeches. And at a given point, the audience throw their ping pong balls into the breeches. And those random things randomly get into the show. So out of the ping pong balls that get into the bard's breeches.
You're right. I love that. That is genius. That is genius.
Genius. Because you see, also...
Who doesn't love things thrown into other people's trousers?
They immediately relax.
Yeah.
We're all singing and dancing. The person playing the bard at that moment is opening and closing their elasticated breeches. So they're making and they're dancing up and down, sometimes doing it at the back. And it just allows that pressure of what we're gonna do. We get enough. Usually, we've never had a problem with not having enough balls in the breeches, and loads of double entendre are revealed at that moment. So then, like 8 or so balls will be taken out. Nobody knows what you just put your hand in, put them on. Right, say what they are.
So you get other members of the cast to pull them.
Someone comes and takes them. Like, oh, I'm going to have a rummage in here, Mr. Wood Shakespeare. Anything at the back, all that. Thank you. We write it all on a chalkboard, and then out of, say, 8 things that we come out of the breeches, 2 of them will be elaborated on. So,
right.
revenge. What would you consider to be a suitable act of revenge?
Yeah.
And then we say, ooh, Martin thought that adultery would be a suitable thing to take revenge on.
Yeah.
And then so we have Martin and we have adultery. And so there's just a couple of things that we kind of elaborate on so you can weave that in. Yeah. So, that's how it works.
I mean, I love anything that avoids having people having to shout stuff out.
Yeah.
Because that's fine, but I want to hear from the quiet people as well, the people that don't feel confident shouting things out.
Yeah, and there's default things that get shouted out over the years.
Yeah.
You know, cheese grater. Number of shows I've been
spatula.
in. Yeah, cheese grater. Chinese takeaway.
Pineapple.
Yeah.
Submarine.
So I kind of thought, think how you control those asks from the audience. I think, especially in genre things, I think we're allowed to do it.
And also, it's not like we're cheating.
No, we're not saying, oh, you've given us 8 things. Actually, we knew what they were, so here's a whole play that we've written.
Yeah.
They can see it's random.
Yes. But it is just a way of shaping the show to just get to that more interesting thing than you might get in other ways. So there's somebody playing the bard.
Yeah, but only for that moment to get
right.
the balls.
Right,
Nobody then is Shakespeare-y after that moment. So we have like 8 or so things that are going to be interwoven into the play. And at the top, we just try to do a scene with more than 2 people. That is just what we call a state of the nation scene.
Right, yes, okay.
So it's completely anything. It's 3 people that happen to be plucking chickens. It's 3 people that happen to be looking over a countryside, standing on a hill looking over a countryside. So we can just relax. We don't have to do any plotting. No plotting in the first scene.
Yes.
And otherwise, we can't hear what we're doing because we're so busy plotting from that moment.
Right.
But if you've got on the list of givens loads and loads of like Rome, murder, poison, destitution, start that state of a nation scene somewhere else and it's lovely. So you've got somewhere to go so that you can feel, and as a playwright, I would do that too.
Yes.
If you know what you're doing is going to be exploring the horror of the murder of a child, actually, no, I'm changing my mind as soon as that. You know, but the journey for the audience is more interesting if they thought they were there and then they ended up somewhere completely different.
But then they end up going to Rome.
Yeah.
Right.
But our audience know because they've read the chalked up words. They know what's... So if they think, oh yeah, we know what's going to be, it's going to be all in togas. No, it isn't. It's just still us in our clothes, but the illusion is there. They go, oh, hang on a minute, why? How are we going to get them from this, hillside in Nottinghamshire to Rome? Well, that's for us to find out. That's for us to have the fun of unpicking whatever improvisation we create.
Yes, and it's like just remembering things in improv. I don't know if it's the big secret of improv, but just being able to remember things that the audience have said and then to bring those things back later.
Yeah, reincorporation.
Yeah, and it's just
lovely.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
And it's so simple, but it kind of brings such a great payoff. You know, if like sometimes when you do those little explorations into the audience to say, so a journey. What's the most recent journey you've been on? You went on holiday. Oh, interesting. Where did you go? Sardinia. And what was interesting about the journey? Oh, you got delayed. So just enough of that is that we know that at some point, one character is going to be delayed. They might have been to Sardinia, or they could have been on holiday, and
Yeah.
And what happened? Oh, there wasn't enough food. Oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Or just, it won't be a major plot thread.
Yes.
It could be if it really, if it was like, we're getting stuck. Oh, hang on a minute.
Yes, I've still got that.
Yeah, we've still got all
there.
these other things to unpick.
So, within Impromptu Shakespeare, what role do you play? What part do you play? What is your thing? What sort of...
What? Well, we do. One of the things that I enjoy in rehearsal and kind of like yearly analysis, like we'll do a kind of like big overhaul once a year.
That's interesting.
And we'll kind of feed back to each other. So everybody has a piece of paper with their name on it, and at one side it says things I do brilliantly, and then on the other side it says things we'd like to see more of.
Oh, right. Okay, that's a
and
good way of doing it.
And the rest of the company write down things you do brilliantly.
Yes.
So you're just bathed in golden light when you read it, and you have to sit there on a chair in front of the rest of the company and read it all out. And then on the other side it says things we'd like to see more of.
Right. Okay.
So I could say, as far as that, what do I do in the company? I do bizarre character work.
Really?
Right. I do.
Let's explore that for a minute. So how bizarre? There's a lot of bizarre things in Shakespeare.
There are. Well, I'll start off saying what I have used to do, which was I used to play all the nurses, old priests, grandfathers, stately old kings.
Right.
What people want me to do is play juvenile leads, straight characters that aren't coming on with a hunchback and a lisp.
It's like your go-to. Yeah. I love a hunchback with a lisp.
God, yes. So, yeah. To get away, because all that kind of character part is my default, really.
Yes. Okay.
And I love it, and it earns me a living. But the other stuff that I would never be cast as Cleopatra or Macbeth or, that kind of significant role, which is never going to be in my canon, play it now.
Brilliant.
Not that we ever get a play that would ever have anything like either of those significant characters, because if you think it's just going to be a jumble of traits,
right?
That and also we have an hour to do it, and it's mostly about having fun.
Yes.
So the asp. Yeah, I might get to play the asp.
How would you? With a lisp, presumably.
Yeah, and a hunchback.
Those are asps. Those are hunchback asps. They're always causing trouble. Okay, brilliant. So what else is on the list that you...
What, things that I bring to Impromptu Shakespeare?
Yes.
Oh, God. I suppose, like this rehearsal coming up, I'm going to talk a bit about stagecraft.
All right, yeah. How do you do that?
How do I do stagecraft?
Yes.
Because it's simple things that make it more difficult for the audience to see what's happening.
Right.
Like, if we just stand in a line, then the audience just get a line of people. And if we're talking to each other, we're going to be turning our heads from side to side. And that's a natural way to do it. But if you make it into a U shape, then we're going to be able to get reactions all the way around.
Right, yes.
Yeah. If you've got something important to say, don't say it at the back of the stage.
No.
Bring yourself forward. That kind of thing.
Yeah. I love
and
that
it
sort of
really depends on what shape space you're playing in. You must have seen it with Jedrick.
Yeah.
clearly one of the most difficult spaces.
It's very deep.
Deep. So then Jules brought in the boxes, so we play forward. But even so, if you make yourself too wide, you could use it to your advantage. But with improv, if I start off doing something over here, you might not know what I'm doing because it's so far away. I might be upstaging, undermining, changing, something very beautiful going on.
Yeah.
And so the good things of doing improv is working together and listening.
Yes.
And actually sometimes the space can...
Yeah, that's interesting.
And their projection
Yes.
is pretty tricky.
Yeah.
Because it's a weird dead space. So some places, like the Miller, small, you can sniff and everybody will hear you, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But that big space like the Edric, well, that's the theatre, and so you have to use your voice. Even if you're saying something intimate, you have to support what you're doing. Those people have paid money. They don't want to hear somebody whispering.
Well, they can't hear them whispering.
They can't hear somebody whispering. And that, I'm probably an old school drinking game. In that, I think if people have paid, then they deserve to get their money's worth.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's not just about us pissing around.
That's what rehearsal's for. But even then,
Crying with laughter is what rehearsal's for.
Does that happen a lot with improv?
No, never.
Very serious.
No,
very serious.
Very serious. No, it's sometimes if it's got too far up its own arse, then it has to severely be taken apart and laughed at.
You have to go quite far. You're already improvising Shakespeare. How does one go too far?
What, for it to be so far up its own arse? Oh, because everybody's just like... I think sometimes we're kind of like looking for the story and we haven't got a story. And so everyone's kind of like, coming on, trying to offer something really, but my lord, thing. And actually what you need to go is, this is a rehearsal. It's really enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Just stop earnestness or stop integrity. Stop that now.
Stop integrity? What do you mean by that?
Oh, the integrity of playing Shakespeare.
Right.
Everyone has to honour it, and actually sometimes we just need to go, don't be so silly.
Because when Shakespeare was originally performed, it was, popularist, it was,
political, it was social comment, it's tricky, it is, it's what the hell are we doing? It is a kind of, if you bring all the historical implications on with you, you couldn't open your mouth.
Yeah.
What we're doing is improvising within certain boundaries and frameworks and being inspired by.
So what sort of frameworks are you working within then? Are you doing impromptu Shakespeare? So you haven't got enough time to do 5 acts with so many scenes?
Oh, good God, no. Everything, whatever we do is always going to be defined by the amount of time we've got to play. So I think the only things we know are we get the ideas from the audience in the ping pong balls. We start with a State of a Nation scene. We end with the final scene should be the whole company, unless you're already dead, in which case you're allowed not to come on. It should be resolved in some way. We used to try and end with a marriage, but we don't do that so much anymore.
Right, okay.
And there are thoughts. We always end with at least 2 rhyming couplets.
Nice, yes.
So it doesn't have to be an individual that would deliver over them. It could be 2 or 3 members of the company moving a rhyming couplet around the stage, so that the audience know it's the end. Technicians know it's the end. We know it's the end. With improv, you could keep going on and on.
Yes.
Unless we've all managed to kill each other and ourselves.
Which in a Shakespeare play is,
it very often happens. At some there have been members of the company who would see it as part of the all in a day's work to make sure they, even when things were going brilliant, they'd find a vial of poison about themselves and have to top themselves just because you can.
So when you got involved with Impromptu Shakespeare, was it the improv or was it the Shakespeare, or was it just thinking, combine these two things?
It was both. I think I had found it hard to find and be part of a company within the improv scene, that was interesting enough to stimulate me, challenging. I wanted to work with people that were better than me.
Right.
And I wanted to get myself out of playing short form games.
Right, okay.
So I hadn't worked in a long form narrative company before, but I was beginning to understand that was a potential.
Yes.
And I went to I started off, when I came back to performing after having been a writer for a long time, I started off going to Hoopla. And in between having been a writer, I got married and had my daughter. And so the circumstances and implications of my life, I couldn't just be an actor. Right. I had to bring money in.
Yeah.
I had to be a responsible parent. So going back to perform after having been a writer, doing improv allowed me to perform without having to rehearse, without having to audition, without having to make a commitment. I could go 1 week, I didn't need to come back for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I could be late and it wouldn't undermine anything.
Yeah.
I could have not thought about anything and just turn up.
Yes.
So it solved, a need in me to perform. And opened a fantastically exciting door. So I went to Hoopla when it was in Balham, and of course Steve and Edgar were just the best people to go and work with.
Yes.
After,
especially if you're a beginner, because they're so warm and they're so full of love and joy.
Absolutely, and I just marvelled at the care and support that they offered to the people that went, and really in comparison to some directors that I've worked with professionally, I would say they offered a brilliant service. Really, really and truly. So I went and did Hoopla for a couple of years, which allowed me to then say, can I perform now? Right. Which they very graciously did, and that was fun. But I kind of thought, you know what, short form, I found it too frustrating. I felt like every time I got started, we're on to something else.
Right, yes.
And also, I'm going to do the drinking name now, that there were things in the short form games that I just wouldn't get. Like, Edgar, brilliantly, would kind of go, right, now we're going to do rapping. This is in performance, right? We're going to rap this, right? And I just think, oh, fuck, really? This is the worst thing for me. I don't understand it. It's not part of my musical heritage. But then, the other voice goes, yeah, and you get up and you do it. And you get up and you do it. And most of the time it's fine. But somewhere deep within me is going, I don't get it. And also, this is not, this is not going to be a great item for the audience to watch, because all I would do is swear, and do the moves and rhyme a bit.
Very entertaining that does sound as well, actually.
And then there'd be bits in some of the short form things, like references to movies that have escaped me. All of those kind of Die Hard movies, all of that really, really massively popular things are not part of my experience because of where I am in my life.
Yeah.
It hasn't been, like, even Back to the Future, I had to do a bit of research on that. You know what I mean? It's like silly things that I think, why hasn't that been part of my life? Well, just because I was being 25 when... I was being 30 at that moment. I was being 40 at that moment. So it wasn't something... So there are bits that I just kind of think, I can't deliver the right thing. And directors would say, if it doesn't matter if you don't know. Just pretend that you do. But if somebody's come to see something very specific... Like, there's some companies that... There's no point in me... Like all those ones that do filmy stuff. Yeah. There's no point. I've got big grey areas. Nobody wants to. Oh, she's that woman who plays the part of. She doesn't know what the film is. Right. Or the genre is. So I can't. There's things I can't do.
It will require more, research and Yeah.
So I
only watched Back to the Future since starting doing improv.
Brilliant. I know it back to front now. But and there's kind of things that I think, I must watch that actually, because it does sound quite fun. Back to the Future. I've seen it now.
It's good.
So I started doing Hoopla, short form. So I try and do, if I hadn't done any performing or any classes, I try and make sure I go and do like a masterclass with someone. So I went to do a masterclass week, I think it was. No, it wasn't. It was like over 6 weeks with Mark Beltzman. And I also spoke to him and I said, I really can't find where I am in this. I don't know how to find who to perform with. And he went, it's going to happen, you're amazing, it's amazing, everything, which is brilliant. And he'd say things like, I'll perform with you, Rosie. Like, that's great, you're in America, I'm here. Okay. But in that group of people, Rob Wilson was in it, and he approached me afterwards and said, I'm thinking of doing an improvised Shakespeare company, do you want to audition? Yeah. Which indeed I did. And as soon as he said improvised and Shakespeare, I thought, yes.
Right. Because every improviser secretly wants to do Shakespeare.
Of course you do. For me, having had a classical education, yeah. What's not to like? All those other people rolling their eyes going.
Well, now I know about the ping pong balls and the breeches. I think that.
What is not to like?
I think that covers all markets.
I can show you the costumes as well if you want. I do like retraining, re-educating myself.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I went and did the FA quite recently. Yeah. Which was great fun. Really, really good. And what I remembered and what I realised was the kind of like potent drug element of improvisation.
Right.
Going back into class and starting at the bottom again.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it because learning something new like that, those moments of exploring and uncovering things with a group of equals, all exploring and uncovering things at the same time, it's like stepping into Narnia.
Yeah.
And nobody else but those people in that room were in Narnia with you.
Yeah.
Yet that sense of euphoria carries you through for a couple of days, but you need to go back and get the next fix.
Right, yeah.
You need to go, and then when you enter that room and they're the same people there, and you know that you shared that time when you opened the door into Narnia, and you got snowed on, and Mr. Tumnus was there, and then you slayed the lion, or you didn't. And those moments were of shared joy is like the drug.
Yeah.
That coming back, and then you find it again, then you find it again, and then you move on to level 2, and it's a whole group of new people, and you have to start again. But then again, I know that those people that I met in those moments of Narnia, I kind of love them in a way that they never will know how much I love them.
Yeah. Because
we explored something, or found something, or created something so clear and pure and joyous that even if I just see their pictures go by on Facebook, that I kind of treasure them in a very special way. So at the FA, I love it. I like doing that kind of work. It's challenging and hard, and I like it being a new discipline and my mind having to work in a different way, and it not always being yes and I think it's fantastically interesting. I just wish everything was cheaper in the world.
Yeah.
It is finances that stop me doing 90% of the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
I can't progress because I haven't got the money to do it. I can't. I envy everyone who goes to Chicago or LA to study and go, oh, I'm going to UCB now to do my level 4. Well, good for you, mate. Brilliant. You've got these times in your youthful lives and this bit of money to go and do it. I'm so jealous. One day I'll be able to go and do those things. I don't know how, but at this point in my life, to go away for 6 weeks and spend $3,000 on yourself, it's not going to happen. But I look at you all doing it and I think, and I would, but so I have to do it in small pockets, like doing masterclasses or struggling up the FA ladder. But you know, I feel like finances are just so debilitating.
Yeah, I know.
We should be paid to do it.
Yes, we should.
They should pay us.
Yes, that don't think works economically, but it would be good.
It would be good.
Okay, so I should think of a big final question. What would you like the future to hold for either you or for the improv scene in London in general? Is there anything you would like to see more of? Yeah, let's do it like that. The other side of the piece of paper where we'd like to see more
things you're really good at, things we'd like to see more of.
What we'd like to see more of from you or from the scene in London.
I think the scene's pretty strong and pretty good. I think I would like to see it reaching a larger audience. I was saddened by the fact that we're all playing to each other all the time.
Right.
And I suppose that doesn't make me very excited to think, it's just all self-referential all the time.
Yeah.
I think, yes, it would be great if it reached a larger audience. I would like it to be, once it reached a larger audience, to be slightly more polished.
Right. Polished in what way?
I don't know. I suppose I kind of think, do I want everything to be like Showstoppers? You know, a really kind of polished commercial thing. I'm not dissing them. That's completely right. That is their format and it completely works in it. Do I want everything to be like that? No, but I don't know. I feel a little bit like we're all kind of a bit of a ragtaggy thing in a ragtaggy space.
Right.
And so if we were to reach a wider audience, we just need to polish up a little bit.
I think we can do that.
We can do that. Yeah, everyone wear t-shirts with improv written on.
Is that?
That'll be it.
That'll be the way forward.
Look, we'll all wear blue.
Blue, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be it. That'll be it. We'll just wear blue.
Yeah,
I think there's some great companies out there. I really do. I think there's some fantastic performers. I'd like to see more women. I'd like to see more women-only companies. I'd like to see whole festivals of women-only performances. What more would we like from you, improv community? What do I want to do next? I'd like to get further in the FA and maybe be in one of their troupes. I don't know, but I do quite like that kind of performance. I would like to keep going with Impromptu Shakespeare, and I would like it to be extraordinarily successful.
Brilliant. I think they sound like worthwhile goals. Let's all start working towards all those things now.
Thank you very much, Stuart. If you could arrange for that for me.
Yeah, well, I'll get my my team of listeners, my legion of listeners, to start carrying out your commands, and then we'll have a better
Do
place.
it now.
Do it now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I made this.
That's improv!